longest off-season in FIU history. We are back.
So, we did it for the university.
As James Morgan is going to the Jets.
What a catch! Are you kidding?
Dominate up three, 1, 2, 3, dominate. Go out there and take what you want. It ain't about anybody else.
Daylight, it's Flex Joseph with nobody in front of him. Flex Joseph with the football. Flex at the 20, 15, 10. 5 Flex Joseph has taken it to the house on the opening kickoff.
This is Jones, and he's loose, and he's 10, and he's touchdown.
15, 10, 5, Palmer. End zone FIU. Touchdown Panthers.
This should be a loud and fun environment.
The season rolls on after a Week 1 performance that encouraged many. A display in Lynchburg that included plenty of grit and explosive performances, including right out of the gates. Flex showed his foot speed. FIU showed some resolve all throughout Week 1. Now that bye week has come and gone. It's game week in Miami for the FIU Panthers. Glad to have you with us here at FIU alongside the head coach Butch Davis. I'm AJ Ricketts. Glad to have you with us. And Coach, as long as the guys stay healthy, fingers crossed, knock on wood, this was our last bye week.
Yeah,
it's full speed ahead the rest of the way.
Absolutely, AJ. You hope we don't have any more. And obviously, it's been a long time. The last time that we actually had a game, obviously, was in December. The players have done an amazing job over the summertime trying to deal with the coronavirus, trying to train, trying to run, lift. When we got back into practices, there was ups and downs, things where we had to cancel practices for 3, 4, 5 days. But I was just grateful for the fact that we got a chance to play. And even though you hate losing, none of the guys in our program like to lose, but there was a lot of things that were really positive coming out of this first game. And obviously, from Week 1 to Week 2 is probably one of the greatest opportunities for any football team to get better, because now you get a chance for guys that had never played before to get into a game. What's it like? The tempo, the speed, the physicality of it, to know how hard you have to do it, and the preparation, getting ready for a game, how important it is. And so hopefully this next game, will be significantly better.
36-34, the final score of that game. The team trailed by 10 points at one point in the second quarter, ended up taking the lead in the second half. To me, obviously, the run offense, the special teams, those things stood out. I know on film you're probably picking apart, the pass defense or whatnot, the final drive, but there are a lot of encouraging aspects from that game. When you were assessing that in the locker room after, what was your feel and tone towards that game?
Yeah, well, obviously you just referenced special teams, and one of the things that was kind of crazy from this entire deal, preparation for this first game, a lot of people, we didn't want to make it noticed in the newspapers and stuff, but we only had 3 offensive linemen 12 days before that game. Yeah. We moved 2 defensive linemen over so that we could have team periods. I mean, we literally had about 8 or 9 practices that we never had any team periods because we didn't have any offensive linemen. And until they got out of the quarantine, out of the isolation, got out of the social where you are around people, and then they got them back into practice. So they really, truly, the offensive line only probably had about 9 practices to get ready for the game. So what it did is we focused unbelievably on what we could do, and that was special teams. And I'm going to tell you, in all of my coaching years, I don't know that we've ever had a more dominant special teams performance. The kickoff returns, spectacular. We in the locker room before the game, we said, let's start fast. Well, how do you start any faster than a 100-yard kickoff return? But, we did a great job there. Tommy Heatherly did a phenomenal job punting. He had a 51-yard punt backed up. He had one that he downed inside the 1-yard line, so that part was good. Punt pressure, all of those things played a really good role. And a freshman come in, Chase Gabriel is a kicker, and he's 4 for 4. He was perfect on extra points. So, there's a lot of things, obviously, you'd love to have made that 2-point conversion and get a chance to go into overtime and see what would have happened, and maybe you could have pulled out a victory. But I was really proud of the players because of the way in which they competed. They never, ever gave up. They fought until the game was over with.
Yeah, it was really encouraging to see a lot of fight. You referenced the offensive line. Look, that's a unit on any team. If you're depleted in that area, that might cost you a game. You can't play if you don't have those numbers on the offensive line. That's hurt other teams throughout the conference. But we're able to put a good performance this past weekend. Let's delve a little bit more into the running backs and what Devontae did. Look, you've had an upperclassman on your roster at the running back position every year you've been here. It's Alex Gardner in 17, Napoleon and Anthony Jones the last 2 years. It's Devontae Price's turn, and what a statement he made in the opener. Let's roll the tape. Price with touchdown runs of 30, and 65 yards. Also had the 6-yard touchdown catch in the fourth, which nearly helped tie the game. Coach, 11.4 yards per carry. That stat in his yards per game, both second in the country right now, only behind Khalil Herbert at Virginia Tech. I know it's a one-game sample, but what an impressive display. Maybe the best display by a running back since Kedrick Rhodes went for 172 at Troy in 2011. You have to be thrilled with great plays like that.
Yeah, well, Devontae, obviously, he's been a significant contributor his first 3 years here. Now he's the senior. Now he's the leader. He did absolutely everything. His vision, his running, the power, the speed that he had, catching the ball out of the backfield for a touchdown right there. And the things that you don't see an awful lot of was blitz pickup. His ability to step up in there, to pick up linebackers and defensive ends as they came off the edge. I mean, he really, truly had an outstanding football game.
And again, about 60% of his rushing totals in one game, as he had all of last year. And that's no knock on his role on the team the last year or so. And obviously in 2018, those numbers were higher. He's always had a role in the backfield. But, I mean, that's a magnificent day in the backfield for Devontae Price.
Yeah, great start. And obviously, and he's earned it. I mean, he's, you know, with all the guys, Napoleon Maxwell and Anthony Jones last year, 2 seniors, his role went down just a little bit than it did, you know, his sophomore year. But he's got talent. He's got skills. He plays. And the other thing that people don't recognize, he plays on 3 of the 4 big special teams. So he's a guy that goes out there and he really, truly helps us try to win games.
And one more thing I liked out of that running back rotation, let's not forget Sean Peterson Jr. Last season, 8 carries for 32 yards against Liberty the other week, 8 carries, 54 yards. Put up half 100 in 8 carries.
Well, I tell you what, he is a physical runner. He's one of the most strong type of guys, but what people don't realize is he's got burst, he's got speed, and he's got good vision. The thing that separates really good running backs, AJ, is in all the good ones that I've been around, whether it was Emmitt Smith with the Cowboys or the great ones that I had at Miami and North Carolina and stuff, is vision, is being able to see where the hole. They may say that it's the hole is supposed to be in B, but you're being cut back in the back, coming out the back door, simply because that's where the hole in the crease is. And so I really think that Sean exhibited some of that the other day. I
feel so often when we talk about running backs, it's agility or speed or power. Maybe vision goes a little underlooked. If running backs got vision like Devontae and Sean, some good things can happen in that department. Your redshirt freshman quarterback had himself quite a debut. Stone Norton, former Mr. Football in Tennessee, and this was his first real-life game action. Even though it wasn't the hottest start on possession 1 for him, I mean, he got things going very quickly as we take a look at Stone Norton's tape from the other week. Look, his final line, 9 for 13, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Finished off a drive late in the fourth quarter after the great return from Flex Joseph. Coach, he showed the ability to scramble and look downfield when he was flushed out of the pocket. There's one to Sterling Palmer right there. A lot of people impressed by QB3 that afternoon.
Yeah, I tell you what, Stone did an excellent job. And obviously one of the things, AJ, that was the most difficult for this entire football season was trying to figure out who's going to be the starting quarterback. When you don't have spring practice, you don't have a legitimate training camp, we said we're going to go in, we're going to play all 3 quarterbacks, whoever gets 2 possessions and they're kind of hot, and that's kind of a little bit what ended up being with Stone. I mean, you referenced the fact about him scrambling, but a lot of quarterbacks, when they scramble, their eyes go down to the field. They look into how much yards. His eyes are downfield. He's looking for great throws. He made a great touchdown throw to Bryce Singleton, and we were very, very pleased with the way in which he performed in the second half.
His high school coach was quoted in the Herald after the game, and I thought it was funny. He said, "Look, every time a quarterback takes a sack, it's the quarterback's fault." I'm going to be a little more objective with the freshman, and maybe sometimes the O-line is to blame there, but. The thing I liked about Stone, he did take 4 sacks, but there were plenty more times he was flushed out and showed that vision and poise as a freshman. That's got to be encouraging.
But I agree, and I think obviously him being a redshirt freshman, that's one of the things that you learn. You know what the protection is. You know who potentially might be hot, who could be coming free, and if you can't get the ball delivered in rhythm, you got to get rid of the ball, and that's one of the things. Obviously, the more he plays, certainly the better he will do at that. Max Bordenschlager, he had one of those similar situations in the first quarter when he was playing, and he dumped the ball off, got it out of bounds, and avoided taking another sack. So it's just one of those things where I think that experience will help all of our quarterbacks.
Yeah, his high school coach, Jonathan Quinn, played 5 years in the NFL, so certainly comes from a good pedigree of the Davidson Academy in Tennessee. Coach, you referenced it a little bit earlier. Let's take another look at what Flex Joseph did on special teams. One of the most impressive special teams performances FIU has seen in program history. I mean, after everything that's happened this summer, the delay to the season, to begin the year with a kickoff return to the house, Flex had FIU fans fist pumping throughout living rooms everywhere in the 305. 255 yards on 6 returns. Had another one deep in the 4th. Can't forget about that. And shout out to Tommy Heatherly as well for his punt down to the 1-yard line. Just an all-around performance. You would hope this could happen every game. You know it won't, but we'll take it for this one.
Yeah, but obviously, and Flex will be the first one to tell you. One, obviously, the return, finding the creases, but the other 10 guys that are doing blocks and making sure that they create those gaps and those creases that gives him a chance to get to that second level. And then obviously, he's got the speed that if he can get past that first wave of people, he's got a chance to make it an explosive play. And it was one of the things we had not done well in the previous 3 years on kickoff return. We've had some good returners, but we just never really ever, and so we spent a ton of time during the month of August as we had so-called training camp that really didn't have much team periods, but we worked on those kinds of things. And you love having somebody like that, a running back that's got great vision and who can see where to go. And then obviously he showed the speed that he's got to run away from everybody from Liberty.
Typically, when you've thought of the return game for FIU the last few years, it's the punt return and Maurice Alexander. Well, right now, the kick return and Flex Joseph are going to be synonymous, it looks like, at least after 1 week of play. All right, after the break, we take a look at our upcoming homecoming opponent, Middle Tennessee. And Rick Stockstill will make their way to the Magic City. The Blue Raiders have picked up their play the last 2 weeks. We preview that when we come back on FIU Panther Talk with Butch Davis.
They cheer, they yell, they scream for the best moves.
And the FIU Panthers are going to show you why they'll dominate the field this season.
But for the best moves off the field, Good Greek Moving and Storage is the team you can rely on. We ensure a stress-free move on time and on budget, locally or nationwide.
And now, Good Greek is the official mover of the FIU Panthers.
Let Good Greek be your official mover too.
Good Greek Moving and Storage, your superhero movers.
Fight the spread of COVID-19 with your Bluetooth connection. In addition to getting tested, wearing face coverings, and social distancing, you can help stop the spread with the Combat COVID MDC mobile app. Using Bluetooth, this application anonymously notifies users if they have been near another person who has self-reported being COVID-19 positive. No personal information is required, and no GPS or location data is tracked. Do your part to save lives. Download the Combat COVID MDC mobile application today.
Great teachers change lives.
Great teachers change lives.
Great teachers change lives.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker.
Thank you, Coach Holman.
Thank you, Tennyson Barney.
Thank you, Ms. Faulkner. You're the one that pushed me to do better.
You taught me the life lesson to never give up, and for that, I thank you.
You are the one who taught me how to persevere.
Teaching profession is such an important, selfless job.
I thank you for everything you've done for me.
November 2nd against Old Dominion was the last time FIU took the field in the cage. It will be good to be back Saturday afternoon. 4 p.m. kickoff on ESPNU once again, as well as 1260 a.m. radio catechol. You know, the bye week is typically, a much-needed reset and break. Watch some TV shows you've been meaning to, fire up the grill maybe more than usual. Coach, I was thinking, man, I've done this plenty, late spring and all summer. I don't want a bye week. I just want to play some football.
Yeah, exactly.
to start the season, but we're going the rest of the way.
Yeah.
No bye weeks the rest. Again, knock on wood, fingers crossed, it's full speed ahead. Middle Tennessee for homecoming this weekend. Let's take a look at what Middle Tennessee has been up to this season. A tough 0-4 start, obviously, we referenced that before the break, but they have been playing better football as of late, much more respectable performances. Week 1, not the best start, 42-0 loss at Army, just 184 yards of total offense in that game. Army rushed for 340 and passed for 28. That's Army football in a nutshell. Troy has always had a solid program. Trojans put up 40 unanswered at one point against MTSU. 496 total yards of offense given up. But they put a fight up in San Antonio, had a chance to tie the game with a 2-point conversion with 1:04 left, but a couple of receivers collide in the end zone on a play that just might have done the trick, so they fall by 2, but a really resilient effort, especially by Asher O'Hara, their quarterback in the second half. And then Pigram here, the Western Kentucky quarterback, another transfer from Maryland. He does just enough offensively to help Western Kentucky down Middle Tennessee last week. But again, a 3-point loss in that game for MTSU. So, Coach, the last 2 games combined for the Blue Raiders, 2 losses by a combined 5 points. Yeah. They're playing better football. They can be dangerous and respectable. Rick Stockstill's been leading the charge there for a long time. Has built a great program. So, have to be sharp this weekend against these guys.
No doubt about it, AJ. Nobody wants to open the very first game of the season against one of the military schools. Army, obviously, they're training. They're in great condition, especially in this kind of a year where you don't get a chance to train and to work out. But like you said, they've gotten better every single week. And I wish we had played 4 games. I wish this was our 5th game, because that's how you get better, is to play, to compete, to go out there, put it on video, and kind of learn situational type of things. And obviously, they're playing very good. The quarterback's outstanding. He's a kid that we really have a lot of respect for. He's dangerous with the run. He can extend plays. They can run the football. And defensively, they probably try to put more pressure on you than any team that we play. I mean, they're about 50-50 whether they'll play fronts and zones or they're going to bring the house and try to give you negative plays.
Yeah, I know every time we've talked about Middle Tennessee through the years here, their defensive schemes and how they try to confuse you. There's always a storyline going into game week. We won't see Javonte Moffitt for them defensively this year. He's off to the NFL, but still plenty of talent there. Who we will see on the offensive end for the Blue Raiders, you referenced him, their quarterback Asher O'Hara. He started all 12 games last season and put up some impressive numbers. He became just the second MTSU quarterback in program history to rush for 1,000 yards. Just had 98 against Western Kentucky, but he can also sling it, 372 passing yards at UTSA. He can make a difference in the game, and he nearly led them to a victory 2 years ago on homecoming in relief.
Absolutely. I mean, and we've seen him now for 2 years in a row, and that's why I think our coaches and our players have so much respect for him. Is, he's a talented kid, and like you said, over 1,000 yards rushing, but yet he can throw for over 300. He's got good touch. He gets the ball out on the perimeters to guys in space. It gives them chances to make people miss. You got to do a great job in tackling in open space, and that's an area where obviously we didn't perform as well in last week's game because we didn't scrimmage as much, we didn't tackle as much, but we got to get better, and that's one of the things during the focus during this open week that we really have spent a lot of time on, was trying to be better at fundamentals and techniques and be the simple things but be good at them.
Yeah, I think this year of all years, certainly the ability to have those full speed contact practices, tackling has made such a difference. We've seen it in games all throughout the country. Remember, Navy had that tough week 1. They hadn't practiced tackling at all in the fall camp leading up to it. They obviously changed that philosophy after week 1, but it's been tough. Certainly going to see improvement from week 1 to week 2. 2 years ago, same opponent, same weekend, homecoming. Let's take a flashback to 2018, Middle Tennessee and FIU, and what was one of the most fun games of the season. Maybe pretty stressful too as well, and back and forth, but man, that was fun. Shamar Thornton gave FIU the lead in the first half. Man, this guy, Thomas, did all sorts of damage in that goal line Wildcat package. He put Middle Tennessee up 8, a field goal at halftime, helped cut into the deficit. Here, fourth quarter, driving, 4 minutes left. CJ Warden, we love him, on the post route. He gives FIU the lead, and then the 2-point conversion that came after that. Boy, Maurice, I think, was trying to go back to James, but he wasn't there, and the former quarterback made a play. Remember that one?
I do, exactly. Right here, you see him trying to throw back. James is being covered, and obviously he ends up and finds an open receiver in the end zone, and that's creativeness right there.
Yeah, he was able to have just enough poise, and it got scary for a second. O'Hara led the Blue Raiders down the field. It looked like they were going to take the lead, but Olin Cushion had something to say about that. Maybe the play of his career at FIU.
No kidding. I mean, I tell you what, he did a phenomenal job, because not only did he disguise that he was going to drive to the middle of the field, but then when he broke and made a great play knocking the ball down, obviously that's how you win games. Playmakers make plays.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee was just driving down the field. They had the ball with such little time left, we were thinking field goal. They're just trying to tie the game. It became very apparent they were trying to win the game until Olin Cushion had something to say. All right, when we come back for our final segment, we mic'd up with Coach J-Rod and the offensive line. We're talking technique, toughness, and Taco Bell. Stay with us. Back after this.
I guess so, yeah. Face to me as an offense, work into the end zone, right?
We're a university founded on the side of an airport, reaching new heights. It's in our DNA. And since then, we've dedicated ourselves to solving the big problems facing our community and the world. We believe that crazy startup idea isn't so crazy, that families without healthcare shouldn't have to go it alone. We believe we can be better prepared for the next hurricane, and that our coral reefs can be saved. And that's because, above all else, we believe in you.
For 25 years, Conference USA student athletes have done things the only way that we know how, the CUSA way. In that quarter of a century, we've learned a thing or two about winning, both on and off the field. Our student athletes are more than just great athletes. They're fantastic students, and they're outstanding citizens who give back to their communities. We're committed to excellence. We are stronger together. That's the CUSA way.
Okay, yeah. Bésame bendito, como huele rico de cafecito. Bésame bendito. Dale. Boom, boom, a ritmo miro. Giro, listo, sí, no. Ándale pues, ándale pues. Ándale pues, ándale pues.
Don't just stop popping during a bye week. The work must be put in, and it certainly was this past week in preparation for homecoming against Middle Tennessee, along with Butch Davis, AJ Ricketts. So glad to have you with us, as always, on FIU Panther Talk. During that bye week, we went out to practice, mic'd up Coach J-Rod in his first year with the FIU Panthers, guiding the offensive line, Joel Rodriguez. We mic'd him up. Let's take a look.
What's up, Panther fans? Coach Rodriguez here, baby. Paws up. What's up, baby? A little long stick. Pair him up. I guess so, yeah. Face me as an offense, so we'll work into the end zone, right? He's up. And get outside of him, Shane, no, outside. Go! Widen the edge, wait inside foot, stay square. Now we're going full recovery. So one edge, all three levers, right? So widen the foot, lock the arm out, tuck the chin, right? Down and ready. Go! Widen. Good, Cam, good. Nice job, good. Widen it, good, widen it. Power. Before we did the fitted mirror drill, where we're here, and then we're here, and then we're here, right? Remember? That's what we do, right? Okay? That's a precursor to this drill. It's like Star Wars. There's precursors, there's prequels, all kind of. Come join us right the bright side, baby. Come on. What's up, Strickland? We do a little super score, baby. How many you talk about? Okay. All right. What do they give you a Taco Bell to eat with, right? A fork or what? A spork, right? A spork, right? Form a spork, right? Pinkies together, right? Form a spork, right? Fingers on the ground, reach for that ball, pick it up and score it, right? Da-da-da. We good? Whole body in front of the ball. There you go, good, nice job, good. Spork it up. Good, nice job. Sport, good. Spork it up. Da-da-da. Love it. Last one. Good. Rotate. Go. Good stab, good. Go. Good.
All right, Joel Rodriguez is very good at what he does. He's a very smart and intellectual man, but I have a point of contention with him right there. I don't think Taco Bell is where the spork comes from. Isn't that a KFC thing?
Exactly.
I think it's a fork and a knife and a spoon at Taco Bell. That's just my interpretation.
I've never heard of Taco Bell giving you a spork.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Joel. You got your offensive line background good, but you take a trip to KFC here soon. They've got the spork copyright. Joel's got a lot of talent at the offensive line. You mentioned maybe they were a little depleted a couple of weeks ago, but some veterans along that line, Deontay, Shane Magoo certainly come to mind. Yeah, there were the couple of sacks, but also they led the way for the ground game to have one of their best performances and a number of games, certainly going back to the last couple of years. Where do you feel they're at right now after that week 1 performance?
Well, AJ, obviously, Joel's a great addition to this stat. He's got professional background. He played great in college, and so obviously he's got the knowledge to be able to share with a lot of these guys. We've got 3 or 4 kids that have played an awful lot. Deontay Jimmy's played a ton. Shane Magoo's played a lot, but we got a lot of really young players that he's going to have a huge impact into their career and making them better. They're getting better every single week, every single day. He focuses on them. There's the talent is there. Now they got to play together. One of the hardest groups of guys of all the entire football team, to get them to play as a unit is the offensive line, because they play beside each other. They have to communicate up and down the line, protections and run blocks, and then they also have to know how does this guy take on pass rush games and blitzes, and so that they can play together. And he, every day you can see him growing and getting better and better. And as the season goes along, and rushing, you already referenced it. Devontae Price having 149 yards rushing in the first ball game, 11 yards per carry. There were some gaping holes and stuff. And so obviously that's something that we got to continue to do.
One of the aspects of that game at Liberty that really stood out to me was your trust and confidence to put a freshman late in the game on that drive that nearly tied it. Your tight end, Rivaldo Fairweather. He came in, made a great catch on a perfectly lobbed throw from Stone Norton. And, he's going to beat himself up over the 2-point conversion. But, Coach, I got a feeling that's just going to be a small footnote, and he's going to be a really talented player here for the next couple of years. To put him in the game in that situation, that says a lot now.
Yeah, and I tell you what, obviously Janu Smith was here before I got here. And when we got here, we inherited no tight ends whatsoever. And we had to get Pharaoh McKeever to come in and play as a grad transfer. But over the last couple of years, with Sterling Palmer, with Kamarion Williams, now obviously with Rivaldo Fairweather and Joe Hawker, those 4 guys, we got some tight ends now for the next 3 or 4 years, getting them involved. And Rivaldo's a very, very talented player. He's a wide receiver in high school, his freshman, sophomore, into his junior year. We're trying to move him into kind of an H-back type of a position until he kind of grows into it. But he has put on weight. He came in here, he was about 220-something pounds. He's up to about 245 now. He's going to have a huge future at FIU.
All right, moving forward, homecoming this weekend, again, 4 p.m. ESPNU, 12:60 a.m. Should be a lot of fun. We're back home. There will be fans there. We'll provide certainly atmosphere at Ricardo Silva Stadium. In your mind, keys to the game here this weekend, because we're not looking at the record. I know you don't care a lick about 0-4 at all in Middle Tennessee. They've looked good the last 2 weeks.
I think good football teams, AJ, it's all about you. It's not about the opponent. It doesn't matter who they are. You got to make sure that you play well. And things that we've got to do, obviously the quarterback is such a talented kid. The RPOs, the options, his scrambles, his creative plays, we got to make sure that we don't let him out of the pocket a lot and let him get out on the perimeter. They can run the football. They've got explosive receivers down the field. And then we just talked about the offensive line. This will be their biggest challenge, obviously, not only this year, but maybe throughout the entire year. Pass protections with teams that like a lot of inside fire zone blitzes with linebackers, pressures off the corners, different fronts, and different guys that look like they're going to come and then they drop and other guys come. And so this is going to be extraordinarily important that our offensive line does a great job on the protection.
Last thing here for you, Butch. At least from watching it in the booth and gauging the reaction, it kind of felt like Indiana 2 years ago after that season opener, and that the team may have taken the loss, but there was a lot to take from it. There was a lot of encouraging signs, and the most apt comparison, I guess, the quarterback play. What was your feeling in the locker room?
A little bit of the same thing, because there was a lot of things that were really positive. The special teams did good, a lot of things in the running game that was good, and actually the running game, when they handed it off to a running back, it was 2.6 yards per carry. So we got to do a better job with the quarterback and stuff. So there were positive things, and you just look forward to improving every single week and seeing if the guys can continue to grow, the guys that were young and guys that had no background experience. Now they've got to step up and they got to play and they got to get better. And people don't realize this. It took us 4 games to decide that James Morgan was the starting
did,
quarterback,
yeah.
that we alternated him with Christian Alexander those first 4 games. So we'll find out who the quarterback's going to be in the next couple of weeks.
Can't wait for that development. Obviously saw some positive things in week 1. Long way to go this season here for FIU. Can see a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2, as Butch noted. We'll see what we see this Saturday against Middle Tennessee. Thanks for joining us on FIU Panther Talk with head coach Butch Davis. We're playing football. Back at home, Ricardo Silva Stadium, the Cage will host FIU once more. Thanks for joining us on Panther Talk Live. I'm AJ Ricketts. We'll see you next week. Pause up.
Go out there and take what you want. It ain't about anybody else.
Today, it's Flex Joseph with nobody in front of him. Flex Joseph with the football. Flex at the 20, 15, 10. 5 Flex Joseph has taken it to the house on the opening kickoff.
This is Jones, and he's loose, and he's 10, and he's touchdown.
15, 10, 5, Palmer. End zone FIU. Touchdown Panthers.
This should be a loud and fun environment.